All right, more programming. So continuing with inheritance hierarchies in this Ruby on Rails tutorial that I'm doing. And now we're going to watch a video. Ooh. Try refreshing. All right.
We're going to deploy the application to production, but before moving on to that step, I'd like to discuss some of the inheritance hierarchies that we're using in this lesson. This discussion is mainly for those who have a background in object-oriented programming, but it's not going to do you any harm to get a quick overview if you haven't seen this before. So let's take a look at this. This is the inheritance hierarchy for the models. So we have active record base. This is the base class that has a bunch of things like the methods we just saw, like all, like user.all or user.first. That all happens inside of active record base. And both user and micropost models inherit from active record base, so they automatically get all those methods. Take a look at the models. So that's this line here. I mentioned it briefly before. This syntax here is inheritance in Ruby. The inheritance hierarchy for controllers is a little bit more complicated, but just slightly. There's an action controller base, an analogy with active record base. And then there's another controller that sits between the controllers we generated, called application controller. That's this. And then the users controller and the micropost controller each inherit from the application controller. See here, same syntax. The reason for the second tier here, for this extra layer, is because it's very convenient to be able to put things in the application controller that apply to all of the controllers in the application. And if it weren't for this layer, we would have to actually edit somehow action controller base. But that's part of the Rails framework itself. It's not exposed to application developers.
Let's watch. I want to hear that last part again.
To application developers to be able to put things in the application controller that apply to all of the. The reason for the second tier here, for this extra layer, is because it's very convenient to be able to put things in the application controller that apply to all of the controllers in the application. And if it weren't for this layer, we would have to actually edit somehow action controller base. But that's part of the Rails framework itself. It's not exposed to application developers.
Okay. So basically what this is saying is that the user model and the micropost model are inheriting from application record, which inherits from active record base. And they have a little diagram here. And the guy says, it is by inheriting from active record base that our model gains the ability to communicate with the database, treat the database columns as Ruby attributes, and so on. So this inheriting gives our user and micropost models lots of functionality. We can do lots of stuff. And this is just saying that the inheritance structure for controllers basically works the same as with models, except, like the basic structure is the same. It's just like here for the models, we had active record base as this sort of thing from which stuff was inheriting, like ultimately. And here we have action controller base. So, and he's also just giving us like the locations where we can find the inheritance code. So let's see. Models, right, user, right. So it's this as one example. So that's straightforward. And so with model inheritance, users and micropost controllers gain a large amount of functionality by inheriting from a base class, including the ability to manipulate model objects, filter inbound HTTP requests, and render views as HTML. That is a lot of functionality. Since all Rails controllers inherit from application controller, rules defined in the application controller automatically apply to every action in the application. In section 9.1, we'll see how to include helpers for logging in and out of all the sample applications controllers. So this seems too straightforward, but by examining the contents of the application controller file, find the line that causes application controller to inherit from action controller base. Now he already said specifically, right, like this was, so I guess just like the actual line, like the first line, is that the answer? Right. Like since he already said it in listing 2.24, it just seems like kind of weird to ask again. I don't know. Is there an analogous file containing a line where application record inherits from active record base? Hint, it would probably be a file called something like application record.rb in the app models directory. Okay, that's a pretty big hint. Right. There we go. Make this a little wider. Yeah. So there is. And yeah, you see, this. Some people also included this, including him. I don't know what abstract class is, but I know what inheritance. I know the syntax, and I have some conception of what it does, so I just zeroed in on that. So, well, since I'm doing learning things, maybe I should look up abstract class. Set this to true if this is an abstract class. Okay. That's not super helpful. Here we go. Abstract class, what exactly does it do? Yes. Does it prevent instances of the class from being created? Does it disable certain methods? So let's see if somebody responds directly. An abstract class in the general programming sense is defined as a class which has no instances, but is used to maintain class relationships. But I want, is this yeah, I guess this is the guy saying his purpose. One of the main use cases for making an abstract active record class is to allow an app to work with multiple databases simultaneously. Active record objects look up the class chain for their connection, so by having a separate abstract active record class other than active record base, okay, this is a little, you can group the models so that they each share the connection to the proper database. This is beyond me, but that's fine. explained. Abstract classes are classes that contain one or more abstract methods. All right. Easiest explanation of abstract class and interface. Hopefully this will, well, yeah, maybe. We'll see. So this is abstract class and interfaces are. Shouldn't this be abstract classes and interfaces are? This is like, at first I will explain abstract, capitalized for some reason, class and its usage. And the contraction for it is usage. So, okay, this is like Alif Abdullah writing on Medium in ESL English. So that was not looking to be the easiest explanation of abstract classes, in fact. All right, so this has a bit more. Abstract class is a template definition of methods, variables of a class that contains one or more abstracted methods. They're used in object-oriented programming languages. Declaring a class as abstract means it cannot be directly instantiated, which means that an object cannot be created from it. Abstract classes require subclasses to further define attributes. Okay. So I just wanted a general idea. Okay. So on to deploying the Toy app.
All right, we're now ready to deploy the application to production. We already deployed the Hello World version, but now I actually want to show that we can have this database-backed web application working in a production environment. See where we are, get status. There's a bunch of files. Let's do this here. Let's add them all. See the status now they're all added. Just out of habit, I'm going to push this up to the remote repositories, this Bitbucket, and then I can push it up to Heroku. All right, let's take a look at it. Think about what's going to happen here. Is this going to work? Where was it? Rocky Retreat. Oh, we're sorry, but something went wrong. Uh-oh. Let's see if we can figure it out. This is good practice. Look at the logs. Let's take a look at the log here and see if we can figure out what might be the problem. So it's like action view template error, PG undefined table, relation to users did not exist. So there's a bunch of stuff here, all kinds of detail. But it's a really useful skill to acquire to be able to look at this log and not be intimidated by it. So I'm just going to look at it, maybe I can figure it out. So this is a huge hint. This means that the users table in the database doesn't exist, which is true because remember the way that we created that table locally, the way that we actually prepared the database was to run a migration with rake db migrate. So we have not told Heroku about our data model. That means that we need to run the migration in Heroku as well. Let's do that. The way to do that is with the Heroku command, this is the command line interface, then the word run, so Heroku run, and then the thing we want to do, which in this case is rake db migrate. That looks promising. Let's take a look at the app, refresh it, and there we go. The Toy app is running in production. Create user. Go to the microposts. Create a new micropost and give it too much content. The validation's working. And we can even run a console at Heroku. See if you can figure out what it's going to be. We just hit Heroku run rake db migrate. It's Heroku run. It wasn't quite a perfect analogy. It's not Heroku run Rails console. It's Heroku run console. And now we can do this. User.first. There's the user. User.first microposts. And there it is.
All right, so let's do git push Heroku. Alright, so I managed to push everything out to Heroku and I got an error message like he says we should. Let's look at the logs. Whoa, okay. Let me clean up my interface a little bit here too while I'm here. All right. All right, so I'm not seeing what he says should be in the logs, but I'm going to try his resolution method anyway and see if it helps. Aha. Oh. Interesting. I created the user even though I got an error message. So he says, we'll need to remove the code to display the first user's micropost in order to get the app to load properly. Okay, so let's remove that. Where is that again? Do. All right, the user show page. All right, so this was the code. Remove that. Save. And go back. Make another commit and push again to Heroku. Here's test the validations. Yeah, okay. So those work. So then why am I getting this? All right, so I checked Git and it still hadn't updated this show.html.erb. So I added and committed that and pushed it. I'm pushing it to Heroku again. So hopefully this will solve that weird issue. All right, so this should all work now. All right, sick. All right, I already did that. All right, I can make some posts. Yeah. At some point, we'll need to show at some point, we'll need to have the like a login, and you make the post from the user itself. This is kind of representative of a lot of my Twitter content around 2016. All right. Make sure that the validation works for microposts. You can do that. There we go. Okay. We're all good.
So this application has a lot of strengths. This is a real database-backed web application running in a production environment. It's given us a really nice high-level overview of Rails and introduction to MVC, the first taste of the REST architecture. We've done a little bit of data modeling, and it's really quite remarkable that we've been able to go from zero in the last lesson to having a database-backed web app in production at the end of lesson 2. But of course, this does have a lot of weaknesses. No one would ever mistake this for a real web application. So fixing up those weaknesses is the main task of the rest of the tutorial. So let's get to it.
Right. So what does he say? High-level overview of Rails, introduction to MVC, first taste of REST, beginning data modeling, live database, backed web application in production. Sure, that's cool. No real understanding, he highlights that. Yeah, that's true. No custom layout or styling, no static pages, no passwords, images, logging in, security, user micropost association, notion of following or followed. Yeah. Many flaws. No micropost feed, no meaningful tests. I agree. Probably the ease of dropping in validations was the most like concrete thing that I appreciated from this thing. Like, yeah, there's some of the high level stuff, but like I still don't have a great grasp of a lot of this stuff. But you know, build it up little by little. But I was surprised at how easy the validation stuff was to just like plop in.